The barn door creaked open. Light spilled over a tall, muscular figure chained to a wooden post. The Apache woman stood there, her back crisscrossed with old whip scars, broad shoulders and arms like iron. Her dark eyes locked onto Caleb, not pleading, but burning with hatred and wariness. "This woman's a handful," Briggs said, amused. "Took a hell of a beating to break her in. Take her, call it even." Caleb clenched his jaw. "You are talking about a human being." Briggs shrugged. "Round here, she's a slave." The woman spoke, her voice low and rough. "If you touch me, I will kill you." Caleb looked her straight in the eye. "I did not come here to touch you." He turned to Briggs, pulled out his coin pouch, and set it down on a wooden crate. "I am buying her freedom." Briggs let out a laugh. "You're out of your mind." "Maybe," Caleb replied. "But unlock her." The sound of chains hitting the ground rang sharp and cold. The woman did not move forward. She stared at Caleb like waiting for a trap. Caleb spoke slowly. "My name is Caleb Holt. You are free to leave if you want. I do not own you." She stared at him for a long moment. "My name is Nyola," she said. "If you are lying to me." "I do not lie to anyone," Caleb said. Nyola stepped into the sunlight. For the first time in years, she walked without chains. Nyola rode behind Caleb at a distance far enough to turn and run if she had to. Her horse moved slowly, ears pricked up, sensing the tension in its rider. The wind swept across the sun-scorched grasslands, kicking up red dust that clung to the scars on her shoulder. Caleb did not look back. He kept a steady pace, never urging his horse forward, never giving orders, as if whether she followed or not had nothing to do with him. "How much did you pay for me?" Nyola asked, her voice low. "I did not pay," Caleb replied. She let out a short, bitter laugh. "Every man says that." Caleb stopped his horse and turned to face her for the first time since leaving the barn. "I paid a debt. And I paid for freedom." Nyola tightened her reins. "Freedom does not come with a horse and some money." Caleb reached into his coat and pulled out a small bundle, tossing it her way. Nyola caught it on instinct. Inside were dry, clean bills. "It is enough to get you anywhere," he said. "If that is what you want." She looked at the money, then at him. "Then what do you want?" "Nothing." Silence stretched until the sun began to dip. Caleb's ranch came into view, an old wooden house, straight fences, a deep well. No other people, no drunken laughter, no stench of the whip. Caleb dismounted first, tied his horse, and stepped aside. "Your room is on the east side," he said. "It locks from the inside. The key is yours." Nyola eyed the door. "You do not keep a spare key?" "No." "You are not afraid I might kill you in your sleep?" Caleb shrugged. "If you want to, I will not stop you." She narrowed her eyes. "You are crazy." "Maybe," he said. "Food is in the kitchen. Eat or not, it is up to you." Night fell quickly. Nyola ate alone, her back to the door. A knife, within arm's reach. Every creak of wood made her muscles tighten, but no footsteps came closer. No eyes peeked through the cracks. Caleb knocked twice, gently, standing just beyond the threshold. "Hot water is behind the house," he said. "I will be in the barn. Do not come in," Nyola said quickly. "I will not." She locked the door. For the first time, the lock was on her side. Nyola sat on the bed, her hand resting on her chest, feeling her heartbeat slow. She whispered to herself, as if to make sure she could hear it. "No chains." Outside, Caleb glanced toward the east room, then turned away. He knew freedom only truly begins when a person believes they are free to leave. The first night passed like a long trial without gunfire. Nyola stayed awake most of it. She dragged a wooden chair to block the door, placed a knife by her pillow, and leaned her back against the wall. She was used to pain, used to shouting. What she was not used to was safe silence. Morning came, sunlight streaming through the small window. Nyola opened the door slowly. The ranch was quiet, no one waiting, no eyes watching. Caleb was in the goat barn, his back turned to the house. He paused at the sound of footsteps but did not turn around. "Morning," he said. Nyola stood a few steps behind him. "You are not going to ask how I slept?" "No need," Caleb replied. "If you want to tell me, you will." She squinted, as if measuring him. "I am used to sleeping in barns." "Not here," he said. But that choice is yours. Caleb set down a milk pail and gestured toward the shed. Today's work, if you want it, fix the north fence. If not, rest. You do not give orders? I do not have that right. Nyola gave a dry chuckle. Briggs said the same. Right before he beat me, Caleb turned to her, this time looking her in the eye. Here, if I am wrong, you can leave. Leave to where? Anywhere. She said nothing. Then walked toward the fence, her first choice of the day. By noon, the sun was harsh. Nyola hauled wood, hammered nails, sweat running down her scarred back. Caleb brought over a canteen and set it down within arm's reach. Water. You are not coming any closer? No. She drank, wiped her mouth. What if I ran away? Then I would be down one worker, he said. Nothing more. As evening fell, Caleb was repairing a second chair for the dining table. Nyola noticed and asked, was there only one chair before? Yes. Your wife? Caleb paused for a moment. She passed. You did not look for someone else? No need. Dinner was quiet. As Nyola stood up, Caleb spoke. Your room still locks from the inside. I will sleep in the barn. You are not afraid I might kill you? Caleb shrugged. If you are still here, I trust you. She stared at him for a long while, then said softly, like a test, do not come in. I will not, Caleb replied. That night, Nyola locked the door, but for the first time, she did not block it with a chair. The days that followed passed steadily, like dry earth, slowly learning to welcome rare rain. Nyola began waking earlier each morning. No one called her. No one pushed her. She stepped out of her room on her own, choosing what work to do. One day she hauled water from the deep well. Another day she carried sacks of grain twice as heavy as most people could lift. The muscles in her shoulders and back tensed with every breath. Caleb saw it all. But he neither praised nor stopped her. By noon, he brought out another chair and placed it on the porch. Cooler out here, he said. Nyola looked at the chair. You fixed it because of me? Because it was missing, Caleb replied. Not missing anymore. She sat down. For the first time, they shared a space, not face to face. Not too close. Just near enough to hear each other breathe. Back where I was, Nyola said, eyes on the fields. I was beaten for being too slow, beaten for being too fast. I was always wrong. Here, Caleb said. You either work or you do not, and if I do it wrong, then fix it, he replied. No one gets beaten for being wrong. The words were quiet, but they caught in her throat. That afternoon, Caleb led out a brown horse. Do you know how to ride? Yes, she said. But they never let me. Now you can. He handed her the reins. Nyola climbed up, back straight, grip firm. The horse tossed its head once, then settled. You are not afraid I might run? If you run, Caleb said, then that is your road. Nyola rode a full circle around the ranch. The wind whipped her face, the scent of hot earth rising. When she returned, she dismounted and handed the reins back. I am still here, she said. Caleb nodded. I see that. That evening, they shared a table for dinner. No one said much. When Nyola stood to clear the dishes, Caleb said, Let me. No, she replied. I want to. He stopped. Before heading to her room, Nyola turned. If I stay longer, she said slowly, I do not want to be called a slave. Caleb looked at her, his gaze steady. Here, you are, Nyola. Nothing else. She nodded and closed the door. That night, Nyola lay awake staring at the ceiling not to keep watch, but to think about something even more unfamiliar than freedom. Respect. Type 1 if you want to keep telling this story with me. That morning, Caleb woke earlier than usual. He quietly prepared the saddle, tying a small leather pouch to the back. When Nyola stepped out onto the porch, he was already waiting, not looking directly at her. Ride with me for a bit, Caleb said. Nyola did not ask where. She simply nodded. They rode across the low southern slope, where the trail leading out of the land was visible. Caleb stopped, dismounted first, and placed the leather pouch on a flat rock. There is money in here, he said. Enough to get you to Bisbee. Or farther. Nyola looked at the pouch, then at the road. You are sending me away? No, Caleb replied. I am giving you a choice. He handed her something else. The old bill of sale from Briggs. Torn in half. No one can claim you anymore. I already spoke to the sheriff. Nyola said nothing. The wind blew through, tangling her hair. Then why keep me around? She asked. I am not keeping you. You are not afraid I might leave? Caleb stared down the dusty red trail. I am afraid, he said honestly. But fear is not a reason to hold anyone. She gave a dry laugh. Where I was before, they fed me and said I owed them. Here, Caleb said. You owe nothing. Nyola dismounted and walked a few steps toward the road. Each step felt heavy. No chains, no whip, just open space. If I go, she asked. What will you do? I go home, Caleb answered. And keep living. She turned back. And if I stay? Then you stay, he said. Nothing changes. Silence stretched. Nyola looked down at her scarred hands, hands that had known only labor and punishment. She looked up. Here, she said slowly. I sleep without guessing who will come in. Caleb said nothing. I work, and I am not beaten. Still, he stayed quiet. I am staying, Nyola said. Not because I cannot leave, but because I choose to. Caleb nodded, just once. Then let's go home. On the way back, Nyola rode beside him. For the first time, not behind. When they reached the ranch, she dismounted, looked at the wooden house, looked at the door to her room. Caleb, she called. Yes? If one day I change my mind? He replied instantly, without hesitation. The door is always open. Nyola nodded. That night, she locked the door, as she always had. But for the first time, the lock was not for protection, it was a declaration. She was here because she chose to be. After that day, nothing on the ranch changed. And because of that, everything was different. Nyola no longer looked over her shoulder when stepping onto the porch. She no longer carried a knife everywhere she went. She worked because she wanted to, not to prove she deserved to stay. In the morning, she helped Caleb fix the barn roof, bent by strong winds. Standing high on the wooden beams, Nyola balanced with ease, her muscles tightening under the sunlight. Caleb stood below, steadying the ladder. You are not looking up, she said. I am looking at the ladder, Caleb replied. If it falls, I die first. She laughed. A strange sound, short, but real. As evening settled, they sat on the porch, each with a glass of water. No one spoke for a while. If I were somewhere else, Nyola said, people would fear me. Because I am big. Here, Caleb said. I am glad you are strong. She tilted her head. You do not think I am dangerous? I do, he replied. Just not to me. The answer was not poetic, but it softened something in her chest. That night, rain came suddenly. Nyola stood at her door, watching water run across the porch. Caleb walked back from the barn, soaked through. You do not need to sleep out there anymore, she said. Caleb stopped, standing just outside the doorway. You sure? Nyola nodded. But, no crossing lines. I understand, he said. They sat apart, oil lamp flickering between them. Rain tapped the roof. No one touched. No one moved closer. What if I asked you to leave? Nyola asked. Then I leave, Caleb said without pause. She stared at him for a long time. No one ever answers that fast. Because that is not a question, he said. It is your right. After a while, Nyola spoke softly. I am not used to men not taking what they can. Caleb looked down at his hands. I once lost the person I loved, he said. Since then I've learned, not everything that stays belongs to you. Nyola took a deep breath. If one day I want to be closer to you, Caleb looked up, his eyes steady. Then you tell me, and I will listen. The rain eased. The air grew quiet. Nyola stood up. Tonight, she said. You sleep in the house. On the chair, Caleb said. Yes, she nodded. On the chair. As Nyola returned to her room, she paused, speaking through the crack in the door. Caleb, thank you for not rushing, he answered, barely above a whisper. Thank you for staying. That night, they slept under the same roof, not touching, but the space between them was closer than any touch Nyola had ever known. Dust kicked up from the western road late in the afternoon. Nyola saw it first. She stood on the porch, eyes narrowed, her body instinctively tensing like a drawn bow. "Someone is coming," she said. Caleb set down his hammer. "How many?" "One," Nyola replied. "But dirty enough." The horse stopped at the gate. Briggs Malone slid from the saddle, wearing that familiar crooked grin. His eyes swept over Nyola not like a man looking at a person, but like inventorying something he had misplaced. "There, see?" Briggs called out. "Told you this woman would not run far." Caleb stepped forward. "Why are you back?" Briggs spat. "To take what's mine. The sale paper still stands. That slave ran out on a debt." Nyola stepped up beside Caleb. Her voice was low, steady. "I do not belong to you," Briggs sneered. "You belong to the one who paid." Caleb pulled a torn piece of paper from his pocket. "That paper is worthless. The sheriff knows." Briggs scowled. "You think I'm afraid?" He stepped forward. "This woman knows how to behave when she is beaten." Nyola did not back down. "You hit because you are afraid," she said. "I am not afraid anymore." Briggs raised a hand. Caleb blocked it quick, clean. "Get off my land. You want to try me?" Briggs growled. Nyola looked at Caleb. "Let me speak." Caleb nodded, stepping back half a pace. "I made a choice," Nyola said. "Every word clear. You have no right over me. If you stay, I will testify. I will not stay silent anymore." Briggs hesitated. "You dare." "She does," Caleb cut in. "And I am here." The wind moved across the porch, carrying the scent of far-off rain. Briggs looked at the two of them, no space left to threaten, to corner. He stepped back, then again. "This ain't over," he snarled. "This land does not forgive traitors." Caleb pointed toward the road. "Go." Briggs mounted his horse and rode off into the dust. As the sound of hoofbeats faded, Nyola let out a long breath. Her shoulders lowered for the first time in years. "You do not need to stand in front of me," she said. Caleb looked at her. "I am not in front. I am beside you." She nodded. "Then let me say it one more time." Nyola looked straight down the empty road. "I am free." Caleb picked up the hammer. "And you get to stay." Nyola looked at the house, at the door to her room. This time, nothing pulled her backward. The winds changed direction earlier than usual that year. The fields in front of the ranch were no longer a single shade of scorched gray. In some places, fresh grass had started to push through, thin but persistent like small choices held long enough to become life. Nyola woke early. She opened her door. Unlocked. Sunlight fell straight onto the wooden floor. Caleb was on the porch, fixing the fence. "You do not sleep in the barn anymore," she said. "No," Caleb replied. "But if you want me to go back—" "No need," Nyola cut in, then smiled softly. "I was just saying." They had breakfast at the same table. No more avoidance. When Caleb stood to clear the dishes, Nyola held his hand. "Let me," she said. "We do it together," he replied. At noon, they rode out to the low hills. The wind was strong. Nyola's hair blew back, revealing old scars. She did not cover them anymore. "Back then," she said, eyes on the horizon, "I thought surviving was enough." "And now?" Caleb asked. "Now I think living without fear is what truly matters." Caleb nodded. "I am learning that too." As evening came, Nyola paused at the porch, looking into the wooden house. "If one day I wanted to leave," she said calmly, "would you try to stop me?" Caleb did not answer right away. He looked directly at her. "No," he said. "Because if I keep you, the day you stay loses its meaning." Nyola took a deep breath. "Then let me be clear," she said. "I am staying." "Because you want to?" Caleb asked. "Because I choose to," Nyola answered. That night, light rain fell. They sat closer than before, but still left space. As Nyola leaned back in her chair, she spoke softly. "Caleb, if one day I want to call this place home, then it is home," he said. She turned to look at him. This time, not to test, but to affirm. There was no proposal, no grand promises, just two people who had come far enough to know that love does not begin with possession but with the willingness to let go. Outside, the wind still swept across the dry land, but inside that wooden house, an Apache woman who had once been a slave had chosen to stay, not out of debt, not out of fear, but because she was seen, respected, and free to choose the man who stood beside her. And for Caleb Holt, that was not something he bought. It was something he had earned. My friend, the love between Caleb Holt and Naola did not come from promises or desire, but from quiet respect. Caleb did not save Naola to own her, and Naola did not stay because she owed him anything or feared being alone. They came together only after freedom was placed fully on the table, only after each knew they could leave at any moment. And that is exactly why staying meant something. In the harsh lands of the American West, this story reminds us, real love does not hold others with power, but with safety, dignity, and the freedom to choose. Wherever you are right now, I truly hope you find peace and happiness. I love you. My dear audience of Wild West storytelling, let me know what you thought of this story. Leave a comment below. Type 1 if you enjoyed it. And do not forget to subscribe to catch the next gripping tale from the Wild West.